You can see here that even though he has a right hand peek, I get to shoot him first because I have peeker's advantage. So what is peeker's advantage? Peeker's advantage is a term that's widely misused when people actually mean lag compensation, interp, wide peeking, and other things. Peeker's advantage is the benefit the player peeking has due to the defending player's ping. The advantage you can get from peeking a wider angle is much more important, but first let's look at peeker's advantage. Peeker's advantage refers specifically to the benefits the peeking player has due to the defending player's ping. Let's take a look at how a typical peek scenario works with networking in mind. There's a defender, we'll call him Dan, who has 50 milliseconds ping. There's a peeker, Peter, who has 150 ping. Keep in mind ping is how long it takes for data to go to the server and back. So it would actually take only 75 milliseconds for Peter's data to reach the server. We'll assume for simplicity that each player has perfect reaction time. First, Peter starts moving from behind cover to see Dan. As soon as there is line of sight, Peter starts to shoot. It will take 75 milliseconds for this information to reach the server. Meanwhile, Dan has to wait 100 milliseconds before being able to see and therefore shoot Peter. Once Dan shoots, it'll take another 25 milliseconds for the data to reach the server. So in this case, Peter has a 50 millisecond advantage in the engagement. Let's look at it the other way around, where Dan has 150 ping and Peter has 50 ping. First, Peter starts moving from behind cover to see Dan. As soon as there is line of sight, Peter starts to shoot. It will take 25 milliseconds for this information to reach the server. Meanwhile, Dan has to wait 100 milliseconds before being able to see and therefore shoot Peter. Once Dan shoots, it will take another 75 milliseconds for the data to reach the server. So in this case, Peter has a 150 millisecond advantage in the engagement. As it turns out, the peeker will always have an advantage equal to the ping of the defender. The ping of the peeker is negligible because even though it takes longer for the defender to be able to see them, it takes equally as long for their bullet data to reach the server. So if the defender has 0 ping, there is no peeker's advantage. Usually, since the peeker knows when they break line of sight but the defender doesn't, their peeker would be able to pre-fire, giving them an advantage. But Fortnite is different because not only is it in third person, but most builds are transparent enough so that both the defender and peeker can see the other person before there is line of sight, and therefore pre-fire. This is why peeker's advantage isn't as important as taking wider angles. So how exactly do we take wider angles? To start, since Fortnite is a third person shooter, what you're able to see, and therefore shoot, is not positioned on your body. It's positioned above your right shoulder. This is what makes right hand peek so strong, so when you're able to make a right hand peek, a very small part of you is exposed even though you're able to fully shoot. But you can get other advantages with this knowledge. Take a look at this example. There are 2 players. We'll call this one John and this one Bob. The red dot represents the origin of their point of view. John and Bob are both peeking through a window and a wall between them. John is fully exposed, but Bob has a right hand peek, so Bob should be able to see John first. But what actually happens is John can shoot the right edge of Bob before he can see John at all. Why does this happen? Because John is further away from the wall than Bob is. The player that is further away from the wall will have a geometric advantage in seeing the other player first. We call this taking a wider peek. If we take an example where John is very close to the wall and Bob is further back, Bob has such an advantage that he can fully see John's head and John still can't see him at all. So regardless of whether you have a right hand peek, you should still be as far away from the wall as possible when fighting in adjacent boxes. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments what topics you'd want me to cover next. See you next time.